We're going to make a mousse, mango flavored mousse. These are the mangoes here, diced. We'll also need some egg whites and sugar, water, corn syrup. This is a high temperature thermometer. Goes up to about 550, 600 degrees Fahrenheit. Some mangoes I set aside for garnish possibly. Some heavy whipping cream, and this is powdered gelatin and 4 times the weight of the gelatin in water to bloom it with, and an extra pan to melt that bloomed gelatin back down. First thing we need to do is puree the mangoes. This is a commercial grade food processor. This is the blade and the lid. So the whole machine won't work unless it's all put together correctly. This is the safety lever here inside the handle. The bowl needs to be locked or it won't work. So the lid has this piece of plastic that slides into the channel on the bowl. So once the bowl is locked, the lid needs to be locked as well, or the machine won't turn on. It has to slide in and push this white bar down, disengaging the safety. There's a lot of safety features on here because this machine is just devastating. You definitely don't want an accident to happen with this machine. Mangoes in, lock the bowl, lock the lid. There's a pulse function here that will just spin the motor for a brief period. On will spin it indefinitely. I usually just get it going with a few pulses and then let it go until I have a smooth consistency. You could pulse something just a few times and get a rough chop on it, like onions or tomatoes for salsa. But we're looking for almost liquefied mangoes here. That looks pretty good. And you can see the machine completely just turn the mangoes into puree in a matter of seconds. So the next step, we get a sugar syrup started, which is water, corn syrup, and sugar. Eventually this will become Italian meringue, which will be folded into the mousse to add volume and texture. So we're going to save a small amount of this sugar to be whipped with the egg whites in a little bit. The corn syrup will help stabilize the sugar crystals in this syrup, keep it from crystallizing on you. So we'll bring that to a boil. You'll want to bring the sugar up to about 240 degrees Fahrenheit before you add it to the meringue that we're going to be making. And this will let us know when it reaches that temperature. It's not even close yet, though. So while you're waiting for the sugar syrup to get up to 240, you can start whipping the egg whites, your mixer. Again, there can't be any droplets of fat on any of the equipment or in your egg. Just the whites. Start it out on slow to let the proteins denature a little bit before you start aerating them. Once they start to fluff up a little, we'll add that remaining part of sugar. So temperature's still climbing. It gives us a little bit of time to bloom our gelatin in water. You sprinkle the gelatin over the surface of the water in just one thin layer, trying to avoid any big clumps. 4 times the weight of the gelatin in water is the ratio used for powdered gelatin. You can see it's starting to thicken already. And you just let that bloom for about 5 to 10 minutes till it becomes a little sticky mass. Sugar goes in. And when it reaches about soft peaks, the sugar syrup is ready to be put in. Pretty close right now. It's about 220, 230. So go ahead and take it off the heat. It's going to continue. The temperature will continue to climb while it sits in the hot pan. So be very careful when dealing with sugar syrups because they get very hot, hotter than boiling water. Obviously this one's at about 240. So we'll turn the mixer up to high and very carefully add the sugar syrup into the egg whites in a steady stream. Again, being very careful. Take your time. This will give a nice high gloss to the meringue. Make it a little bit more stable than French meringue. And just let that keep going. Here's our gelatin that we bloomed. You can see it's almost solid. Now you're not going to want to add this piece of gelatin into anything until it's been heated slightly and pourable. So you just do this over really, really low heat. Probably even over just the pilot light. It melts in just a few seconds. And go ahead and pour the gelatin into the mixer while it's running too. And then you'll just let the mixer keep whipping the Italian meringue until it's about room temperature.